Good afternoon. Today I'm going to put my reading of Ion on hold for a day or two because I've found some material about Dr. Jung's Red Book that I think is very important and might be useful to you. You may not have heard of the Red Book, and so let me show you what it is. This is the folio version of the Red Book. It's a huge volume, and there is a smaller volume, a reader's edition, but unfortunately it doesn't contain any of the prints, any of the folio prints from Dr. Jung's work. And just to give you an appreciation of what I'm talking about, Dr. Jung wrote the passages of the Red Book in German Gothic script. So let me give you a sense of that. So the part that I want to read to you is that front page and this back page, and it's all handwritten in Gothic manuscript style by Dr. Jung himself. And these were then placed in a folio volume, which sat beside Dr. Jung's desk for many years, probably at least 40 years, if not more. And so those two pages, which I'm going to read to you in English, are the first two manuscript pages of what Dr. Jung called Liber Primus. And the title of this section is called The Way of What Is to Come. And the reason I'm stopping reading Ion for a couple of days while I read this to you is that this brief passage, written in 1915, really sums up a very central aspect of Dr. Jung's work, both the religious aspect and the idea of individuation, which go hand in hand in Dr. Jung's work. And it's quite remarkable to me. I've read this several times, many times, and gradually I've come to understand what it means. I'll try to help you with that as I read. But today and for the next few days, I'm going to read a brief passage from this book, Jung's Red Book for Our Time, Searching for Soul Under Postmodern Conditions, edited by Murray Stein and Thomas Arzt. This is the first of several volumes of essays by Jungian analysts about the significance of the Red Book itself. And it seems a very useful book. It was only published in about October of 2017, and so it's quite new, but it has important passages about Dr. Jung's work. And so what I'm going to do is read an excerpt of Dr. Arzt's first essay, The Way of What Is to Come, Searching for Soul Under Postmodern Conditions by Thomas Arzt. Our age is seeking a new spring of life. I found one and drank of it, and the water tasted good. C.G. Jung. That quote is cited in C.G. Jung, The Red Book, Liber Novus, edited by Sonu Shamdasani and translated by John Peck, Mark Kieberts, and Sonu Shamdasani, New York, W.W. Norton, 2009, page 210. So what I'm going to do today is read a first excerpt of Dr. Arzt's essay. I'll complete this excerpt in the next couple of days, and then I will go over and read those 2 pages of the folio version in the translation of Dr. Jung's work itself. But I'm beginning with the essay by Thomas Arzt. A specter haunts our world today. Its name is Angst. Small world. As former German Secretary of State Frank-Walter Steinmeier recently remarked, the world is out of joint. At the same time, German diplomats such as Wolfgang Ischinger have noted that the disintegration of international security structures has accelerated and that decision makers in politics and business are overrun by unexpected events on a daily basis. Diagnosticians of our time, like German philosopher Peter Sloterdijk, see the world plunging forward. The World Economic Forum's Risk Report 2017 identifies a hazardous planetary risk landscape that does not invite for much cheerfulness and serenity. Our present age, which we may call postmodernity, is characterized by an overwhelming amount of fluidity and volatility on a global scale, as well as on the level of everyday lives of individuals. Cynical contemporaries even speak of a racing standstill. Although nothing remains the same, nothing substantial does in fact change. Even if we cannot yet see the direction in which this unbridled fast train engine called globalization will take us, today's world is obviously undergoing historical transformations that are probably unique in size and scale. Quote, pourvu que cela dure. If only this will work out well in the long run, unquote, as Napoleon's mother remarked while witnessing the coronation of her son. In fact, there have always been turbulent thrusts, cracks, faults, and societal feverish states. Contemporary historians usually attribute these two exclusively to technological change and innovation. For example, if we consider the decade prior to the year 1914, as Philippe Blum's work, The Vertigo Years, Change in Culture in the West, 1900 to 1914, impressively shows, we find that the first 14 years of the 20th century saw rapid socioeconomic developments that put the individuals, as well as many European societies, into a highly agitated state. The spirit of this time, as C.G. Jung referred to it in his Red Book. The spirit of this time, as C.G. Jung referred to it in his Red Book, then led Europeans, as though sleepwalking, to exhausting trench warfare and technological mobilization, giving rise to geopolitical realignments. What is disconcerting is Blum's observation, quote, then as now, rapid changes in technology, globalization, communication technologies, and changes in the social fabric dominated conversations and newspaper articles. Then as now, cultures of mass consumption stamped their mark on the time. Then as now, the feeling of living in an accelerated world, of speeding into the unknown, was overwhelming, unquote. The tremors of World War I consequently led to World War II. In our time, total mobilization has reached the planetary level, just one spiral turn higher. Once more, we are disoriented in an epoch of Angst, and now 100 years after the age of anxiety, we find ourselves again restless in the age of burnout. Artists and sensitive contemporaries who lived between the years 1880 and 1914, such as the German philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche, intuited the seismographic shift that was about to come. Bewildered by societal developments and generational world weariness, trapped in the prison of reason, and yearning for an absent meaning, the best minds looked for new ways out of the spiritual malaise of their time. Dadaist Hugo Ball described the collective condition of his generation as follows, quote, the world and society in 1913 looked like this. Life is completely confined and shackled. A kind of economic fatalism prevails. Each individual, whether he resists it or not, is assigned to a specific role, and with it his interests and his character. The church is regarded as a redemption factory of little importance, literature as a safety valve. The most burning question, day and night, is there anywhere a force that is strong enough to put an end to this state of affairs? And if not, how can one escape it? End quote. God is dead, as Nietzsche announced, and the iron cage of modernity was, in the meantime, having turned into an omnipresent, digitalized Gestell, rigidly established. Let me read that sentence without the parenthetical. God is dead, as Nietzsche announced, and the iron cage of modernity was rigidly established. Contemporaries sensed the severe implications of the erosion of the Christian myth, not to be at home in one's own time anymore. Then as now, the collective situation forced the search for transcendence and meaning in order to withstand the undertow of the postmodern chaos that has undoubtedly revealed a nihilistic signature. The Swiss psychologist C.G. Jung undertook perhaps the most challenging deep dive to seek answers to the questions posed by the epic. Alarmed by visions and dreams which reflected the tensions of his era and presaged the coming world war, Jung daringly searched for his soul in an experiment to learn his personal myth. After the descent, Jung not only formulated his own myth, but was also able to suggest the framework for a new collective myth. As will be illustrated later, Jung's Red Book, Liber Novus, is both a highly intimate testimonial and a reference to the framework of this new collective myth.